All right, guys, today we're going to get right into it. It's a misty, foggy, crappy day outside, and I think I know why. And by the end of this video, the information that I'm going to lay out, I think we got them. And they're hiding in plain sight. In this video, we're going to talk about chemtrails again. I'm going to share with you guys some information that I found regarding them and maybe why you're sick. And it might also explain why Monsanto, which is now called Bayer, please go do some research in the Bayer company all the way back to World War II. Please go do your research. You heard it first right here if you haven't heard anything about Bayer. But Monsanto sold out to Bayer a couple of years ago because Monsanto's name is being dragged through everything because they produce GMO seeds and they have the Roundup and they're getting sued and people are getting sick, and so what they do is they sell off to the other big company and they absorb all that stuff, and Bayer is a big monster, and they are building a hybrid seed that can grow in aluminum contaminated soils. Now, serious question, why would anyone want to try to create a hybrid seed that grows in aluminum contaminated soils? Okay, stay with me now. What I found was last week in Dallas, Texas, there was a huge radar anomaly, okay? And a lot of people thought that this was rain on the radar. And after further investigations, they found out that it's called military chaff. Now, this is a picture of a radar that was taken over the Dallas-Fort Worth area last week. You can see the large plume of military chaff. Tiny glass particles covered in aluminum. They've been used by the military for years, you guys. Exercises can happen across the U.S. and they happen fairly often. Now, what is military chaff, you might add? Chaff is a defensive mechanism used by the military aircraft to confuse radar-seeking missiles in the air. According to the Air Force fact sheet published by the Environmental Protection Agency, when a plane ejects chaff, the fibers made of glass silicate with aluminum coating create a radar reflective cloud that simulates aircraft and creates false targets. Here are a couple of news stories that I found over the years. This goes back years. These videos are old, okay? And they are literally telling you how much they spray in the skies on a regular basis. The guides of what it's for, which I call BS, okay? So here we go. We're going to roll right to the tape. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about this on the other side.
Oftentimes when we have rain coming through San Diego County, there's something else in there. It's not just rain or snow or hail. It's not necessarily precipitation. So what might you be seeing up there? Not everything that shows up on the radar, as I just mentioned, is rain or snow or hail or sleet. There are many types of what are known as non-meteorological targets. Those could be birds or bugs or bats or something known as chaff. So exactly what is chaff? Well, chaff is released by military aircraft and ships and vehicles. It's released into the atmosphere to confuse ground-based, usually enemy ground-based radar systems. So the DoD uses a lot of training sessions where the aircraft go up and they release chaff into the atmosphere. At least 500 tons of this stuff is released into our atmosphere every year. So exactly what is chaff? Well, it's usually little microscopic fibers of glass, and they can be coated in glass as well. And there are different ways that you can release this, either free form or in capsules. But again, it's usually used to confuse those ground-based radar systems. So here's an interesting picture. How can you tell what it is and what it isn't? Well, look at the satellite image. Look at that area to the gray. See how there is absolutely no cloud cover? That's a satellite image that marks what looks like a werewolf claw mark somewhere there. It's got 3 marks, and there's striations that are very much parallel aligned to one another, but you're seeing absolutely no cloud cover on the side that matches that. So that's one good indication. Now here's a look at the National Weather Service when it did pick out some military chaff recently here just over San Diego County. So you can kind of tell. Oftentimes it looks kind of long, elongated, or as I just mentioned, it shows up where there's no cloud cover. So it couldn't possibly be rain. So, and you also often see this with incoming Pacific storms. So on days like what we've recently had here with all those storms rolling through, you hear a lot of extra military activity. And oftentimes they are flying right into that cloud cover that does have actual precip in it or moisture carried in it. And they go ahead and they spray that military chaff. And that often is buried within those actual rain or hail or snow soundings. So it can be very difficult to tell what what you're looking at. So once again, what is military chaff? Well, it's usually aluminum-coated glass fibers. I'll step out of the shot so you can read this. Aluminum-coated glass fibers, and they can range anywhere in length from about 0.5 to 0.75 centimeters, and it's released in packets anywhere from a half of thread to 100 million fibers. So as you heard me mention, 500 tons of this stuff is released into the atmosphere every year. So clearly, concerns have been raised about the toxicity of this stuff to humans and to the environment. So the next time you take a look at the radar and you see a fleck of green or yellow or red, you can ask yourself, what are you looking at? Is it military chaff, bugs, birds, bats, or rain?
Oh my gosh, they're hiding in plain sight. Can you even believe this? Now, I found a story from 1985. The Navy is to pay SDG&E for chaff damage. The Navy will soon pay San Diego Gas and Electric's claim for $49,000 in damages caused by the Navy's dropping of millions of non-toxic hair fine fibers called chaff as part of an air defense exercise, the Navy spokesman said on Monday. Ending a 6-month investigation, the Navy concluded there was no direct evidence to establish that the chaff caused the power outage for 65,000 SDG&E customers January 10th, but the Navy said it will pay the utility company's claim because there was some circumstantial evidence tying the outages to the chaff. We are definitely connecting the dots here today, and if you guys stay on this information, if you guys study it through, maybe you'll come to the same conclusions. But I found an environmental issue study about the chaff, and here it is. Once deployed, chaff fibers remain suspended in the atmosphere for a period of time, raising issues regarding air quality, safety from unintended interference with FFA or other systems, risk to other aircraft engines, and impacts on birds and bats. The time the chaff remains airborne depends on the combination of local meteorological conditions and the altitude of deployment. Eventually, however, the chaff settles to the Earth's surface where it may be deposited on land and water. Man, does that sound like a chemtrail? The plane goes by, the chaff is dropped, and it lingers in the sky. Oh boy. Is this the video? Are we literally busting up what's happening with the chemtrails? They are definitely chaffing the skies above us all over the place, not just in San Diego, where you might expect some military training because there are a lot of bases there. But this is happening all over the country. Issues associated with chaff deposits on land focus primarily on the chemical and physical impacts of chaff on soil functioning and human and wildlife health. Everyone knows what aluminum does to our health. Oh my gosh, y'all, this video needs to be shared all over the place. The impact of chaff deposited on water depends in part on whether the water of body is in an ocean or an inland body of water, and then on whether it is enclosed, a lake or a pond, or a running stream of river, or a running stream or river. Again, the primary area of concern revolve around chemical and physical effects. Chaff composition. RF chaff was first used as a radar countermeasure in December 1943 by U.S. bombers flying over Bremen, Germany, USGAO 1998. At that time, the chaff consisted of solid pieces of aluminum for a non-specific size that were dropped or tossed from the bombers. Since then, chaff technology has evolved considerably, and modern chaff composed of very thin glass monofilaments coated with an even thinner layer of metallic aluminum. Modern RF chaff is made of as small and light as possible so as to remain airborne long enough to confuse the enemy radar, and the chaff fibers are cut to 1/2 the wavelength of specified radar bands. Moreover, whereas lead was used to add weight to the chaff in the early versions, this metal is no longer incorporated into chaff. Today's chaff is made of Type E glass fibers coated with 3 layers of aluminum. So now you guys can see why I'm big on this high tunnel here. Stacy and I are going to grow a large portion of our food inside of this high tunnel. We're going to be doing comparisons from outside growing in our raised beds to the stuff that's inside of this high tunnel. Okay, so stay tuned for those videos as we do that this year. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. YouTube has been unsubscribing our subscribers as we unveil and talk about the truth of what's really going on and trying to get to the bottom of it, and also preparing people to just fend for themselves, okay, to stop relying on the system. If you guys want to learn more in-depth information about living off-grid or living the homesteading life, you can join our university. Go to university.offgridwithdougandstacy.com. We're going to be populating that this year with a lot of great, solid information that are going to help you and your family weather this sick storm that they're trying to unleash, or they are unleashing on America and everyone else, okay? Stay vigilant out there. Leave a comment down below. I think I just busted it wide open, y'all. They are literally spraying trash. They are literally spraying chaff up there on the daily, polluting our skies and having that come down and fall upon us, and it's polluting our lands and causing us to be sick, okay? We need to get some people's voices heard and get Congress talking about this and stop this insanity, all right? We are not going to like where this ends as we constantly pollute our land and our water with aluminum and all these other fibers and glass, okay? It doesn't take a scientist to think about that and figure it out, all right? Leave a comment down below, though. Let me know if you heard about any of this stuff, and let me know, did we just blow the lid off chemtrails right here on Off Grid with Doug and Stacy? See you on the next video.
We've been dealing a lot with some military activity in terms of chaff. Anyway, that's something that I experienced for the first time yesterday. That was a whole lot of fun. And that's where the military just basically dumps some of the tiny particles of plastic or metal mylar into the atmosphere. And basically they do this when we do already have weather in the area, because it's been around since as long as radar has been around. Because that's the shot from yesterday's 6 o'clock show. What they do is try to confuse ground-based Doppler radar systems, and as Mark put it so kindly, ground-based meteorologists. And yes, ladies and gentlemen of the armed forces, it worked well. That's a shot of the mylar. That's a shot of the chaff, again, moving through the atmosphere yesterday. As you can see, a very distinctly different pattern from when a storm system would move through.
Oh my gosh, y'all. We are busting this shit wide open real time.